These dog breeds were never meant to be ordinary pets. We call them pets now. They sleep on our couches, walk through our neighborhoods, and wait beside the door for us to come home. But some dogs were never created for a quiet life. They were built to hunt, to run for miles, to control animals 10 times their size, to guard families, and make decisions when no human was there to help. Welcome back to Wild Unknown, where we look beyond what animals seem to be and discover what nature built them to become. Today, we're going inside 8 remarkable dog breeds and the ancient jobs still hiding beneath their modern lives, because what we now call stubbornness, destruction, obsession, even aggression may actually be something much older. What if the dog isn't the problem? What if, thousands of years after we gave these animals a job, their bodies still haven't realized the job is over? Border Collie. For the Border Collie, the job begins in the mind. Watch one work sheep, and almost nothing seems accidental. A slight change in posture, a stare, a sudden burst of movement. The dog reads the flock, and the flock responds. Generations of selective breeding helped shape an animal extraordinarily sensitive to movement, direction, and instruction. And that's wonderful, when there are sheep. But put that same mind into a quiet home, and something strange can happen. The instinct doesn't simply disappear. Some Border Collies begin herding children, chasing bicycles, fixating on moving objects, inventing patterns where no job exists. Not because they're badly behaved, but because a brain built to solve problems will eventually start creating its own. That's the paradox of intelligence. The smarter the working dog, the more expensive boredom becomes. A Border Collie doesn't simply need exercise. It needs something to understand, something to anticipate, something to solve. Take away the sheep, and you haven't necessarily taken away the shepherd. You've only removed the reason for all that intelligence. But the next dog wasn't designed to control what moved. It was designed to follow it underground. Jack Russell Terrier. The Jack Russell Terrier creates one of the easiest mistakes in the dog world. It's small, so people assume its needs must be small too. But size tells you almost nothing about the animal living underneath. These terriers were developed for work around fox hunting, with the courage and drive to pursue quarry into places larger dogs couldn't follow. That history still matters. Watch a Jack Russell notice something moving through the grass. The body changes. The attention narrows. Suddenly, the little companion beside you looks much less like a lap dog, and much more like a hunter waiting for permission it may not need. Digging, chasing, barking, tearing apart toys, following scents into impossible spaces. What looks like chaos can sometimes be an old working instinct, searching for somewhere to go. And that's what makes this little dog so fascinating. Humans reduce the package, not necessarily the intensity inside it. The Jack Russell reminds us that instinct doesn't care how cute the body carrying it happens to be. Sometimes, 10 pounds of dog can contain far more purpose than a living room knows what to do with. But some dogs weren't bred to disappear underground. The next one was built to disappear over the horizon. Siberian husky. A husky standing still can be misleading, because almost everything about this dog makes more sense once it starts moving. Its history is tied to endurance, distance, cold, and the ability to keep going when the landscape seems endless. This wasn't a dog designed around spending all day inside, then taking a short walk around the block. Movement was part of the purpose, and traces of that purpose remain. It's one reason husky owners quickly discover that a fence can sometimes look less like a boundary and more like an engineering problem. Dig under it, climb it, find the weak point, then run. People often describe huskies as stubborn, but that's an interesting word, because working at distance required something different from blind obedience. A dog had to move endure, and sometimes function without constant human direction. The result is an animal with independence woven into its history. The husky isn't trying to ruin your afternoon. The world beyond the gate may simply offer something incredibly difficult to manufacture indoors. Distance. Take away the sled. Take away the snow. Take away the horizon. And the desire to move can remain. But running was only one kind of work. The next dog was built around something even more demanding. A mission. Belgian Malinois. Watch a well-trained Belgian Malinois work, and the first thing you notice isn't strength, it's focus. The world seems to disappear around the task. Search, run, climb, respond, return, wait, then do it again. This is why Malinois have become famous in demanding working roles. They combine athleticism, trainability, responsiveness, and extraordinary drive. But those qualities don't switch off simply because the dog comes home. And that's where admiration can become misunderstanding. Someone sees an incredible working dog and thinks, I want one. But what they're admiring isn't just the animal. They're admiring the animal with purpose. Remove the training, remove the structure, remove the daily challenge, and all that intensity still needs somewhere to go. A Malinois doesn't become easier because nothing is asked of it. For the wrong household, nothing being asked may become the problem. That's what makes this breed such a perfect example of the difference between a spectacular dog and a suitable pet. Those aren't always the same thing. Some dogs need affection, some need exercise. The Malinois often needs something else as well, a reason. But the next dog reveals another forgotten truth. Not every working dog was created to wait for our instructions. Akita, the independent hunter. Humans love dogs that look at us and ask, what next? The Akita can feel different. Its history includes demanding work in Japan, including hunting and guarding, and that background helped preserve something many modern owners aren't expecting: independence. An Akita can be deeply bonded to its family without needing to demonstrate that bond every second. It can be reserved, watchful, selective, and less interested in strangers than people accustomed to highly social breeds may expect. None of those qualities automatically mean aggression, but they do mean something important. This is a dog whose relationship with the world may not revolve around pleasing everyone it meets. And that can be misunderstood. We often judge dogs using standards created for companion breeds: friendly with everybody, easy with every animal, happy to be handled, always waiting for direction. But working history creates different priorities. For some dogs, independence wasn't disobedience, it was useful. The Akita reminds us that loyalty and universal friendliness are not the same thing. A dog can choose its people and still remain unmistakably a dog. But independence becomes even more interesting when the old job isn't hunting, when the job is deciding who gets close to home. Corso, the bodyguard. Some dogs were bred to find things, others to move them. The Corso belongs to a different tradition: protection. Even before it moves, its presence communicates something: heavy muscle, a broad head, a quiet awareness of what is happening around it. And that physical presence is only part of the story. Dogs developed for guarding don't need to believe every stranger is dangerous, but they do need to notice when something changes. A gate opening, an unfamiliar person entering, a sound where there shouldn't be one. The important question isn't, why is this dog suspicious? It's, why would humans spend generations preserving a dog that wasn't? For a guardian, indiscriminate friendliness could work against the job. Today, however, the setting has changed. The property line may be a suburban fence. The stranger may be a delivery driver. The threat may not be a threat at all. And suddenly, an ancient skill requires modern management. That's why powerful guardians need responsible socialization, training, and ownership. The Cane Corso isn't fascinating because it looks intimidating. It's fascinating because humans deliberately preserved a dog that would pay attention when something didn't belong. But what happens when a guardian has no human nearby to make the decision? The next dog answers that. Anatolian Shepherd. The dog that decides for itself. Imagine protecting livestock in darkness. The shepherd is far away. The animals around you cannot defend themselves, and somewhere beyond them, something moves. There is no command, no whistle, no human pointing toward the threat. The decision is yours. That helps explain the Anatolian Shepherd. Livestock guardian dogs were valuable precisely because they could remain with animals and respond without constant instruction. Independence wasn't something humans failed to train out of them. It was part of what made them useful. And centuries later, that distinction matters. Because put an independent guardian into an ordinary household, and people can mistake self-direction for stubbornness. Why doesn't it respond like a Border Collie? Because it wasn't created to think like one. One dog looks toward the handler for the next problem. The other was expected to notice the problem before the handler even knew it existed. That's an entirely different relationship with humans. And perhaps that's the most important thing this breed teaches us. There is no single definition of a good dog. There is only a dog, and the job humans once asked it to perform. But one guardian takes this story somewhere even more atmospheric, because its old shift began when everyone else went to sleep. Great Pyrenees, the dog that watches while you sleep. Night changes everything. The flock settles, human voices disappear, the landscape becomes quiet, and somewhere beyond the animals, a predator may be moving. For generations, dogs like the Great Pyrenees were used to guard livestock in difficult environments. That meant vigilance couldn't end, just because the humans went to bed. Listen to one barking into the darkness today, and it can seem unnecessary, annoying even. But through the lens of its old job, the behavior looks different. A sound in the distance, a scent beyond the fence, movement you cannot see. The dog notices and announces that it noticed. To a sleeping homeowner, that's noise. To livestock under protection, it could once have been exactly the point. And that's the strange thread connecting every dog in this video. The Border Collie still watches movement. The Terrier still searches. The Husky still wants distance. The Malinois wants purpose. The Akita keeps its independence. The Corso watches the boundary. The Anatolian makes decisions. And the Great Pyrenees keeps listening to the dark. We changed their homes. We changed their routines. We changed what we expect from them. But perhaps we never completely changed the dogs. Maybe that's the mistake. We look at a dog lying on a couch and see only the animal in front of us. But hidden inside that animal is a history, a hunter, a runner, a shepherd, a guardian, a decision-maker, generations of purpose compressed into a companion we now simply call a pet. That doesn't mean every dog will behave exactly like its ancestors, and breed never tells us everything about an individual. But history can help explain why some instincts are so difficult to erase. Perhaps these dogs never failed at becoming ordinary pets. Perhaps we simply forgot that ordinary was never what we created them to be. So now, I want to hear from you. Which of these dogs surprised you the most? And if you live with one of them, what old instinct do you still see in your dog today? Tell us in the comments. And if you enjoy discovering the hidden side of the animals we think we know, subscribe and welcome to Wild Unknown. Because every animal has a story. And sometimes, the most fascinating part is the part we forgot.